Welcome to D-Listers of History Sidebar. I am Fega Haresh, and I'm a public historian and tour guide. Sidebar episodes are shorter episodes where we explore the historical basis of current events. While I am not an avid follower of sports news, it has been difficult to miss all the news around Iowa Hawkeye basketball player Caitlin Clark. As the followers of such things wait with bated breath to see where she will go in coming years, I think it's worthwhile to take a look at the history that allowed Caitlin Clark to get to where she is today. One of the various opportunities in front of her is admission into the Women's National Basketball Association, or the WNBA. Supporters of women's basketball hope that her presence would bring much-needed excitement and ad revenue to the organization. Women's sports have been synonymous with Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972 for a very long time. But interestingly, that amendment does not actually mention women's sports at all.
You could come with me. You could come with me.
The Civil Rights Act of 1964 was a landmark bill that outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, and national origin in public places, schools, and employment. However, discrimination based on sex was not initially part of the bill. It was added to Title VII to protect women's employment rights, though. The thing is, the person who proposed that amendment, Representative Howard Smith, while a supporter of women's employment rights, didn't propose the amendment to help women. He was voraciously against the Civil Rights Act and thought that if labor unions would be required to accept women, Democrats would not vote for the bill, preventing its passage. Thankfully, that did not work, and the bill passed. However, while discrimination based on sex was illegal in employment, it was still legal in several situations, including education. Furthermore, the executive branch's enforcement focused entirely, pretty much, on racial discrimination. Many women's advocacy groups successfully pushed President Johnson to actively enforce the ban on women's discrimination in the workplace. If you go to our Substack, I'm going to include a number of primary source documents about that particular movement.
I am not going to talk about the Soviet military threat, but rather another threat. A threat to the traditional American family. A threat that is just as dangerous and even more insidious. The threat of the women's liberation movement.
One way the federal government tries to influence organizational behavior in the United States is through the control of federal funding. To that end, a parallel law called Title VI, also passed in 1964, prohibited discrimination based on race, color, or national origin at federally funded institutions. Title IX was then written to fix the exclusion of women from that act. The language came from Indiana Senator Birch Bayh. The act is pretty short. This is the whole thing. No person in the United States shall, on the basis of sex, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. You'll notice the lack of mention of sports. So how did Title IX become synonymous with women's sports? Enter the senator from Texas, John Tower. Tower proposed an amendment that would have exempted, quote, revenue-generating sports from Title IX. So read college football. The Tower Amendment was rejected, but as a result, most people think of the impact Title IX has had on collegiate sports for women. It does a lot more than that, though. It is what provides protections against sexual harassment at educational institutions and, under the Obama administration, protected the rights of LGBTQ+ students. And now, nearly 30 years after it was founded, the WNBA might finally get its big break. Thank you for listening to D-Listers of History. If you enjoyed yourself, please drop us a like or leave us a review on whatever platform you listen on. A big shout out and thank you to our patrons and those who are supporting us on Substack. We could not do any of this without you, and we appreciate you so very much. For more information about how you can keep the conversation going with us on social media, head over to our website, www.dlistersofhistory.com, all one word, to get all of that information. We are a weekly podcast. Our next episode will be coming out April 15th, and Mazal and I will explore the life of the founder of Avon, David McConnell. The week after that, April 22nd, will be another Sidebar episode. Thank you so much for joining us. And now for your episode-relevant audio drop.
Recovered by Gabby Marshall. Here comes Clark. How will she go for history? There it is! The all-time leading scorer in women's college basketball.